For this particular afternoon, and I'm all the way from South Africa. So this accent has come all the way from the motherland, right? Now, as I said earlier on, that this is going to be an incredible conversation that we have. We have three panelists who are going to be chopping it up, as I said earlier on, right? We're going to be chopping up a very particularly important conversation around this festival. We are looking at the African diaspora, but also we are looking at how Black art is being represented within the contemporary context of art. And we're also looking at how do we make sure that we're presenting our art the best way possible and the best way that we know how. Reclaiming narratives, Black art in modern museums and galleries is what we're going to be discussing today. So I hope that you are going to be sitting back, relaxing with us today, and take this conversation forward, right? We're on social media. We are at the Harlem Fine Arts. Do tag us, share this conversation as well with friends and family who you'll be tagging alongside with us on social media. Are you ready to see the gallerists as well as the panelists? Yeah. Can I get a little more energy within this room? Yeah? I am super excited. So ladies and gents, please help me welcome onto the stage our panelists for today. The first one being Mr. Dante Muse, who is going to be discussing with us the importance of development within the arts community. Right, please share with us.
Good day, everyone. I am Dante Muse, also known as D Muse, real last name, just happen to be in the arts. I have been a gallerist and in the visual art space for the last 8 years. Music before that, and writing. I'm a screenwriter as well, so always been in the arts in some way, form, or fashion. I specialize as an artist coach in branding, marketing, sales, and positioning for artists and teaching them the business of art.
Now I'm going to come to you, and the part that you play is where a lot of the challenges come from. A lot of the challenges, so one would have the arts and the talent, would have the education with the art and the talent, but then you come in within the development of how artists can solve the challenges that they kind of face. What would you say some of the challenges that you found from that artists get to face a lot within the industry that you will help them with?
The first is awareness of both who they are and what they are. You are a product, essentially. You create products, but as a creator, you still are a product. We can continue to get something from you. Same thing with the chicken and the egg. That chicken as a product is going to continue to produce. Being aware of that and knowing that you are a business as such. So you need to conduct yourself as such. So now that we have that out the way and things more than likely are not going to happen magically, we need to put together a strategy to get to wherever it is your goal is, because each artist has different goals. Nobody wants the same exact thing, and your path is probably going to look different than the person right next to you anyway. So figuring out that you want to do this for real, because this is not a fly-by-night type of situation. It's not an easy thing. In all the arts, period, even if you're acting, you're doing a lot more trying out and rehearsing and self-tapes now before you actually get to act. So setting yourself up for benefits that business get as well too is extremely important. So you don't learn this most of the time in art school. So your education is not business education, it's not entrepreneurship education. You know, you might have gotten better at your talent, skill, or something like that, kind of refine more things. But now you need to know how to not have a house full of art.
Now I'm going to come back to you, Dante, and I want you to just briefly give us. The artist is now, as you said, has all this work sitting in the backyard or where they work, or in the studio. What is the first thing you tell artists in order for them to go about developing themselves, in order to have a sustainable career? Again, we are reclaiming narratives today, right?
Yeah.
One of those narratives being that art is not a sustainable career. So how do you go about reclaiming or reshaping or reframing that particular narrative to say you literally can be an artist and make a living within your development and coaching?
So you have two sides of it, right? So most artists on average, I think, want to be recognized as professional artists. They do want to be shown in certain places to certain audiences that they might not be able to attain themselves. Then you have the I need to eat side as well too. And most of the time for most artists, they're going on simultaneously as you're trying to build. So you kind of need to balance out just selling something so I can buy more supplies and so I literally can pay some bills as well, with building a brand, because ultimately you are a brand as an artist. So a brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. It's the promise that you've given people based on consistent actions. So they become to be known for certain things. Deciding what it is that you want to be known for. Because I always say if you're not known for something, you're not known for anything. And you don't want to be not known, especially as an artist. So what are you going to be known for? What is going to make you stand out? What separates you from other artists? We really need to start building your personality. And brand is really what other people's perception is, but you have some control over that narrative based upon your actions. If you're tying that to core values and everything you're doing, you're running across and cross-referencing, does this align with my core values? That keeps you consistent in your messaging, keeps you consistent in your productivity. It's easier to create collections and everything like that because everything is streamlined. So once we do some tedious work of figuring out how your brand is, creating that, and there's a bunch of steps through that. We need to figure out who your customer is, so identifying your ideal client avatar, things like that, because the only thing everyone needs is air. So unless you figure out a way to package and sell air and there's no way to get it for free, you don't have something that everybody wants. Unfortunately, it's people that don't even want water, and you can just eat your water. You don't even have to drink it, literally, right? So you don't have anything that everybody wants. So you need to figure out who wants what it is that you have. There's billions of people in this world, so we need to figure out who your tribe is. Create your tribe, call to them. So if you're speaking a language, they know you're calling them. So now we know who they are. We're going to start speaking their language. We know where they are because we know who they are. We're going to start showing up where they are. So all of this becomes easier once you set up some core things, and there's a formula in the process and everything. But once you get some things in line, everything else comes easier. Creating content becomes easier. Like deciding what shows you want to come at, what relationships you want, everything becomes easier, becomes clearer, and clarity creates customers.
Now, Dante, I want us to talk about the money, right? Let's talk about the money because it's an important thing. But as we're reclaiming this narrative, that we understand where do we get access as creatives, as artists. Where do you get access to opportunities? Where do you get access to make revenue and to make a living from your art? Where would you say you would kind of start that conversation and gear it towards?
So an easy phrase to remember is create a list of where opportunities exist. It's the first thing you want to do. So you can start that with creating a grant calendar. You can create a rolling exhibition calendar. It can be all on the same calendar. It can just be filled with different opportunities. So typically, as you're watching which institutions you want to be involved in, which you should be doing, you shouldn't try to be everywhere. Again, everybody doesn't want what you have. So you need to figure out who does want it. There's certain galleries that specialize in certain types of art, putting together certain types of shows. You want to figure out where it is that you would best fit. So identify those places and then go about seeing what opportunities that they have. And then from there is really relationship building. You're always going to give opportunities to people you know before you do the people that you don't know, as long as the people that you know are qualified for the opportunities. When I get asked, do I know an artist that does this, that, and the third? First people that come to mind are people that I interact with. it's just true for everybody. Like, I can go and explore and research more people, but the people that are gonna pop up first are the people that I interact with. When they ask me about other black galleries and stuff, the people that I mention first are the people that I've been building relationships with, people that, you know, I've had conversations with, you know, people that have wrote the reviews for my books, you know, things like that, like Pencil and Paper Gallery, I'm getting a shout out. You know, those things come to mind first, just natural as human beings. So start to develop those relationships with those people. Don't always come trying to get something from them, you know, or trying to get in a space. It's easy for me to relate things, especially when I'm taking in the context of dating and everything as well. Like, don't come through the door on the first date trying to get to home base. You know, develop a relationship, and you'll eventually get there. Just, you know, enjoy the journey, and the investment is going to be even greater because you've spent that time, you know, going into that situation. So that's what I would say.
The development, I think this conversation is really helping even an artist who might be sitting here or those who are engaged with artists about the importance of framing and developing yourself as an artist and kind of making sure that you are well-trimmed and well-pruned for the industry as a collective. I'm going to open up the floor to the audience. If anyone has a question for our panelists, please keep it in mind. So I'll ask our technician to just roll the mic to the floor. And we're going to have some questions from the floor as well. Dante, it looked like you had something to add to that.
Can always add something somewhere. The expansion of markets is very important for an artist. And being exposed to people, places, and things that you weren't, even just in your creativity, let alone sales, is very important to an artist. So you need that. I have worked with some artists from different countries, which I guess makes me an international art dealer. So that sounds good just to say that. But like Scott was saying, it's important to exchange opportunities as well. And I don't know exactly how the saying goes, but something along the lines of a prophet is respected more away from home, something like that. So you can actually demand or command more money in a different market than you could at home, actually. So a lot of times that can be to your benefit. And working with some international artists, there's been situations where our money is more than what their money is. So I can actually sell their piece at a price point that's more palatable and give them the money, and it's a lot for them. And on my end, I'm happy I got to make the sale. The collector's happy they got to collect some beautiful art, and ultimately it works out for everybody. So particularly for places that our currency is currently worth more than theirs still, it benefits everybody real well.
Dr. Semenshi, you want to add to that and let's wrap it up?
I'm really excited for any opportunities of exchange, internationally, especially on the African continent. I think that we are an extension of each other. We're family, right? Like, and it's very important to think about the exchange being consistent, being mutual, and leveling out the privileges and non-privileges that exist between different people. And it's not even just one-sided, because within the United States, there's a lot of classes, and within the African continent, there's a lot of class variation. So really being like, how can we benefit one another, and how do we continue this exchange that dispersed us long ago, that was not our choice, but how do we make something beautiful out of this reconnection?
And as a South African myself, who recently came to the United States, when I get to see art in South Africa and I get to see black art here, I see the voices and similarities. I feel that we are one, right? Yeah. We are more similar than we are different. Right. Mm-hmm. So I think it's so important that we continue to create that bridge, continue to make sure
and I've had artists from other countries buy my art business books as well too. So all y'all here in America, and I'm here, make sure you stop by 806 and grab one of my books. Drop that plug.
Yes. Of course. Now that concludes this first art talk. Did you all learn a thing or two from that? Yes? Oh man, thank you so much to my incredible panelists for joining this conversation. We are still at the Harlem Fine Arts Show right here at the Glasshouse. We are really recreating, reframing, and recreating once again, the narrative for Black art. It is Black History Month, and we're wrapping it up on a very high